This man's name is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. He won 34 major trophies across 4 different leagues. He scored over 570 career goals. He's a Puskas Award winner, Sweden's all-time top scorer, and one of the greatest media pundits the world has ever seen. I'm sure Alexi Lalas agrees. But how did a player as great as Zlatan succeed in almost every single league but fail at the biggest one? Ibrahimovic had a problem. Zlatan believed he's gonna conquer Europe. He dominated Netherlands, Italy. He's won league titles pretty much everywhere he goes. But there's always this one trophy missing from his collection. The coveted UEFA Champions League. A trophy that not many players end up getting, and it's mostly desired in world football aside from the World Cup. Zlatan was in a very good position. One of the biggest clubs in the world came calling for his name. They were reigning European champions. They had just won the treble, and they were managed by Pep Guardiola. For Zlatan, this feels like destiny. He was gonna join Barcelona, win a bunch of league titles, win the Golden Boot, win the Champions League, and secure himself as one of Barcelona's greatest players ever. However, that's not quite what happened. What follows instead becomes one of the most heated player-manager feuds in football history. This is the story of Ibrahimovic versus Pep Guardiola. Before Ibrahimovic joined them, Barcelona just completed one of their greatest seasons ever. They won the treble. They really looked unstoppable as a club, but Guardiola had more plans to get more players. It seemed like Guardiola wasn't a big fan of Samuel Eto'o. He wanted to sell him the year prior, but Eto'o decided to stay to prove himself, and he really did, scoring in the Champions League final. But it seemed like at that point, Guardiola had made up his mind, and he wanted to get his hands on Ibrahimovic. So, Guardiola made it happen. Barcelona ended up agreeing a massive deal with Inter Milan that sees Ibrahimovic joining them and Samuel Eto'o going the other way. It was a direct swap transfer, while Barcelona also paid tens of millions of euros on top. See, at the time, Zlatan was one of the biggest stars in football. He was the complete package. He was tall, powerful, and had a big ego, which is something a lot of clubs desire. He was a player capable of scoring goals that no one else can imagine. But most importantly, he believes Barcelona can finally help him win the Champions League, literally joining the best club in the world at the time. Yes, at the time, not anymore. Zlatan and Barcelona actually went through a honeymoon period because the season started perfectly. Zlatan scored immediately. Barcelona kept winning, Ibrahimovic was scoring, and he even got his hands on a few titles as well. He scores in El Clasico against Real Madrid. The Camp Nou loved him. Halfway point of the season, everything was a success. Barca won the Spanish Super Cup, the UEFA Super Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup. Pep Guardiola publicly praises Ibrahimovic. It was his idea to get him. Guardiola was going to take all the credit. Everything was going perfectly between the two, but while all that was happening, something was cooking behind the scenes. There was something changing in Barcelona, something that completely altered Zlatan's future at the club, and that something's name is Lionel Messi. During the 2009-10 season, Guardiola begins making tactical adjustments. Messi starts moving away from the wing position that he played at before. He used to have Ronaldinho as a left wing, Eto'o as a striker, and Messi as the right wing. That's just what he was used to. But now instead of playing out wide, Guardiola decides to put him right in the middle. He was playing as a false nine. Now that little change actually becomes one of the most revolutionary tactical changes in football history. It worked brilliantly. Messi was scoring a bunch of goals, making a real mark for the club, and he really stood out. But the problem was that Zlatan was the player who paid the price. Messi became the center of everything. Zlatan himself admitted that during that time, he felt his role shrink at the club, and he felt his importance decreasing completely. He believed Guardiola was making every decision to only accommodate Messi. That's where the relationship between the two started to crack, and then it gets much worse. According to Zlatan, Guardiola's personality also completely changes. Guardiola and Zlatan used to speak almost every day. In Zlatan's autobiography, he even claims that Guardiola completely stopped talking to him too. And as soon as Ibrahimovic walks in a room, Guardiola leaves. I can't imagine how awkward that is. Now, whether every detail like that happened to the T, as Zlatan described, that's on him to verify it. But one thing was undeniable. Their relationship was completely broken, and Zlatan couldn't understand why. He needed answers, and Guardiola was not giving it to him. Now, one incident stuck with Zlatan forever. One day during training, all the other players arrive, and Zlatan pulls up to training in a Ferrari. That rubbed Guardiola the wrong way. Guardiola pulled Ibrahimovic aside and started talking about humility. Imagine telling a player like Ibrahimovic to be humble. To Guardiola, it was about keeping everyone's feet on the ground, and he was running that Barcelona team like a school. And Zlatan, of course, took that a little personally. He felt like Guardiola was trying to change his personality completely. But as we all know, Zlatan thinks he has the greatest personality ever. Zlatan gained a reputation for being so true to himself and refusing to be anybody other than himself. Years later, he delivers one of his most famous lines: "You don't buy a Ferrari to drive it like a Fiat." Barcelona signs Zlatan because he was different. He feels Guardiola's trying to change him, and that doesn't fly with him. Zlatan finds himself spending more time on the bench. Zlatan got a lot more frustrated. His dream move quickly turned into a nightmare, and then comes the moment that changes everything. April of 2010, Champions League semifinal, Barcelona versus Inter Milan. The irony was impossible to ignore, and standing on the opposite touchline is Jose Mourinho, a manager Zlatan deeply respects. The tie becomes a disaster for Barcelona. Barcelona. It's funny because in that moment, Eto'o was trying to prove a point to Guardiola, and so was Zlatan. They were both ganging up on him, but Eto'o had the last laugh. Inter eliminated the defending champion. Barcelona's dream of retaining the Champions League was over. As the final whistle blows, months of frustrations finally explode. Right after the match, Zlatan storms in the dressing room, and he's furious. Not just about the defeat, but about everything. Being benched, the silent treatment, the broken promises. According to Zlatan's autobiography, he confronted Guardiola right away in front of everyone. He unleashes years of frustration in a matter of seconds. He famously shouted, "You have no balls." Then he follows up telling Guardiola to go to hell. Guardiola says nothing, and he simply walks away. In that moment, whatever relationship they had between the two was completely tarnished. There's no repairing that, and there was no coming back at all. The marriage was over. After only 1 year of arriving at the club, his career was effectively finished. Think about how crazy that sounds. Barca spent a fortune getting their hands on him, and Guardiola specifically requested him. He scored 22 goals and provided 15 assists. The team ends up winning La Liga, and yet the relationship was so damaged that he was already on his way out. No Champions League trophy for Zlatan with Barcelona. So, in August of 2010, Zlatan left Barcelona and he joined AC Milan. Now, Zlatan did end up killing it at AC Milan, becoming a club legend. But unfortunately, every club he went to never won the Champions League. It is unfortunate because as soon as he left Barcelona, they end up winning the Champions League the following year. I guess he was meant not to win that trophy, just like Ronaldo R9. Now, most player-manager disputes often end after the transfer, but not in this case. This was a lot more personal. He described Guardiola as a coward, and he accuses him of being unable to handle strong personality. Those comments made headlines around the world. Now, years pass, yet anytime someone asks Ibrahimovic about Guardiola, he says the same thing. It just reopens the same wound. Now, let me make something clear. Zlatan repeatedly said that he never had a problem with Guardiola, yet it was Guardiola that had a problem with him. And meanwhile, Guardiola does stay silent, and he never made a comment about it publicly ever. The contrast in personalities becomes part of the story itself. One side keeps firing and the other side stays silent. Now, both men achieved incredible success in football. Guardiola goes on to become one of the most successful managers in football history and a huge club legend at Man City. He did win league titles in Germany, Spain, England, also winning multiple Champions Leagues. And Zlatan kept doing what Zlatan does best, scoring goals, winning trophies, and becoming one of the most iconic strikers football has ever seen. Now he's a pundit for Fox News at the 26th World Cup. It seems like he's having issues with Alexi Lalas. Let's hope it doesn't turn into the same feud as he had with Guardiola. Now, one question does still linger though. If Zlatan and Guardiola got along together at Barcelona, would Zlatan have won the Champions League himself? Let me know in the comments down below. Guys, if you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button, comment, and share this video with your friends. I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts about this video, and let me know what video you want to see next. Stay tuned for the next video, and I'll see you in the next one.